Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to talk about all of us who are on the hero's journey. If you're listening to my video, and if you watch more than one, you're on the hero's journey, and we're all in different stages on the hero's journey. The longer we're on the hero's journey, the more we understand what the obstacles are, because those get in our way to get this message out. And there are a lot of obstacles that don't want the truth about how to live to get out to the masses. Remember, a hero by definition is someone who can solve a problem or problems no one else can solve. And if our problems are self-inflicted, which most of them are, then the only person who can solve our problem would be ourselves. So that's the definition of a hero. And once we understand that, there are a lot of people who don't want us to wake up to that reality, because they're taking advantage of the situation now, and you really can't blame them necessarily. They're a reflection of us being sick. But we have to realize, well, what's the solution? Well, we all play a role to solving our problems. That's one of the catches to this whole thing. That's why it's so important to reach the tipping point, why I mentioned that over and over and over. The point here is, if you're new to all of this, and you're just now saying, hey, I've been listening to some of your videos, it all makes sense, and I'm thinking about doing the first step and prove this to myself, but I'm really struggling with you going on and on about how money controls everything, and all these other things that now you're saying are just part of the obstacles on the hero's journey. And that's exactly right. If this is new to you and overwhelms you or turns you off, realize that that's because you've been programmed to think that way. One of the most important things I try to help people understand is how their belief system has been corrupted. It's been manipulated, and we can't trust a lot of what we think is true. It's reinforced so many times in so many different places. For example, and I'm going to go back to, I'm going to use this for a while because it really does illustrate how we can't trust our belief system and how we've been brainwashed. And the point the way I'm going to illustrate this is to take a TV show like Wonder Woman, for example. Wonder Woman is a typical good guy on TV, and what do good guys on TV do? Well, we all know, don't you? They go after the bad guy and they go get the bad guy. Well, it's interesting. I remember watching this a long time ago, and I watched this episode recently by luck, because it was about the bad guys, and guess who they were? They were Nazis. Now, don't think for a moment that's not by design, because this is one of the most important secrets that they have to keep away from us. They don't want us to know what Germany and Japan did, so they demonize these people. They lie about everything. There's, of course, going to be a lot of truth woven into it, but the basics of what really happened, who started what, who did what they actually did, it has all been fabricated, so we wouldn't even entertain or look into this concept even anymore. So think of it this way. If you've been quick to call people a conspiracy theorist, and if you still do, and you have to realize that this is another example of us being programmed. You see, the term conspiracy theorist was invented and put into wide circulation by the CIA to ridicule and defame all those people who are questioning the official story of JFK. So it was done by design, because they understood what Schopenhauer meant when he said all truth goes through three stages. First, it's ridiculed. Second, it's violently opposed. Third, it's accepted as self-evident. Well, if it's going to be ridiculed initially, what better way to control the masses than to get people to laugh at something that they don't know about, to make sure they don't look into it. So if you're quick to use that, then that's another way you've been programmed to respond. So we've been programmed on so many levels, it's mind-boggling. If you're alive and on this planet, you've been programmed in ways that most of us haven't figured out yet. And I'm sure there's a lot more that I haven't identified yet. But there are lots of them. And we have to only understand the most important ones. One has to do with money. Remember what John Adams said. There are two ways to conquer and enslave a nation. One is by the sword, and then the other is by debt. And that's what's happening to us. We're debt slaves like the vast majority of the countries on this planet. Most countries are swimming in debt. And most people don't understand how that works, so they're afraid of it. All we need to be aware of is that money is used as a tool to control us, and That's why we have to take that tool away from the people. And that's why they lie about what Germany and Japan really did, and how what they did that got the debt masters upset is they took away their tool of control by enslaving countries with debt. They broke away from this debt system. They created their own currency. Why would you let someone else come in and print your money and then charge you interest for it? That's the deal we got into in 1913 with the Federal Reserve. Lots of people are waking up to this reality. I'm not saying anything new out there, but what a lot of people don't understand is the big picture. And that there's a reason why we have this mentality. And that's the ultimate way to defeat this. So most people are focused on downstream solutions, working downstream, and we have to. We've got to take away this tool of control, but then we have to realize the ultimate tool of control they're using against us, and that's medicine and nutrition. That's why our experts are not our experts. That's why the ADA will say something ridiculous like, there is no good food, there is no bad food. Oh my God, most of what we eat is not even food by definition. It's not natural, it's unnatural. And look at us, that's what we are. So, what do we do? How do we make sense out of all of this? How do we know if we've been programmed? Well, look at two main things that are important to what it takes to control people. One is money, and the other is our health. Do doctors in America get any results, or anywhere else really around the world when you look at it? Does allopathic medicine work for a lifestyle-related problem? Of course not. Allopathic medicine is only good for a problem outside our control, and even then they could clean up their act and do a lot better job if they weren't so invasive. You don't have to cut and suture as many people as you think. You can use herbs and clean and heal wounds much easier without the trauma and damage you guys inflict. But you've been doing this for so long, you got pretty good at it. But the point here is that most of what you guys are doing is ineffective for a lifestyle-related problem. And you guys know most of them are lifestyle-related. So, question our experts when it comes to nutrition and medicine. Question our so-called experts in economy and in politics and in government. And realize how important it is that we just do what Germany and Hitler did, and that's break away from this debt system that creates this odious debt where we're supposed to owe interest on money that doesn't exist. Watch the Zeitgeist Addendum documentary and the Thrive documentary, and they paint a really clear picture of how money is put into the system, and then we owe interest on it, but they don't print the interest, so now there's not enough money in circulation to owe the people that enslaved us in this system, which needs to be completely outlawed completely. It should be outlawed. It has been in the past. And it's been about 40 years now since I've graduated college. In 10 days I'll be 62. And when I took business law in college, we were told usury was just above a certain limit. They sure changed that in those last 40 years. But the real term use of the word usury means no interest. People are overwhelmed by how money works, but it's not really that complicated. You just don't have interest in the equation, and we won't have the system we have that makes us debt slaves. And if you scream conspiracy theorist, it's quite ironic because the CIA and what they did is well documented, and it is a real conspiracy. So you can't help but just step back and laugh sometime at times just to keep your insanity at the kind of craziness we've been put through on this planet. And we don't want to be overwhelmed by it, and that's easy to do. But that only happens when we are helpless. That's only when we don't have a solution. Every video I do, I try to remind everybody there is a solution to these problems, and yes, it's overwhelming if you don't do anything. So testing ideas, time has come. Do the first of my 3-step process. And within 1 week, most people have a light bulb moment, if they're looking for one. A lot of people don't want to believe this, but it's true. We've got a tremendous amount of filth inside of us, and after about a week of nothing but fresh juice going in, that light bulb usually goes off. The average woman loses about 7 pounds, the average man about 10 pounds just in the first week. At the end of 30 days, the average man 30 pounds, the average woman 20. And that's mainly because the average person in America is considerably overweight. Considerably. And it's not just fat. In many cases, it's mostly not fat. It's crap you got inside your system. So we literally are full of filth. And when you do the first of my 3-step process, within 1 week, you'll figure that out. All the proof you'll need. If you want scientific proof, does my program work? Do my program. Come on, do it. You want the proof? You'll see it right before your own eyes. What more proof do you want? You're going to believe an article you read? Oh, this scientific study said this. Well, who is it financed by? Okay, that puts a different light on the story. You can only trust yourself. Do what I'm saying. In fact, do what I did. After a week, I said I should be documenting this. Can't convince too many of my students to do that. But if you want to argue with me, I insist you do. Because then you'll realize that what I'm saying is true. Even when you see what comes out looks just like diarrhea, you'll be amazed at how nasty it is and how glad you are that you got rid of it. So, 1 week, a light bulb moment, and if you're really, really sick, what's going to happen in several months is you'll have an aha moment, and that's when you come to the realization that all these systems that have been treating your systems for decades, where you're only getting worse and having more problems, you'll realize those weren't the solutions, and they never will be, because now you know the solution. You know the solution because you proved it to yourself. You've got that brand new reference that can challenge all the old references that we have so that we remember Wonder Woman, we remember this, we remember that. We're programmed over and over and over to believe in atrocities, so we'll commit, or absurdities, so we'll commit atrocities. And that's what we do. But that could all change. And all it takes is the courage to test an idea as time has come. And when you do, I guarantee you, my friends, you are in for a treat.